Okay, while we're out here in the woods, one of the things that I want to do today is I want to collect a couple pounds of chanterelles, smooth chanterelles. I use those to dehydrate for steak seasoning. And I'm going to show you how to do that during the course of this video. So let's go find some chanterelles. All right, guys, so these are chanterelles and pretty easy to identify. About the only thing you confuse this thing with maybe would be a jack-o'-lantern. I would definitely check resources and make sure that you understand the difference. I always carry a couple resources with me in my book, in my haversack most of the time in the woods anyway. But I wanted to kind of give you an up close look at that guy. This is what we're harvesting. All right, so now we're back in the building. We have got all of these great chanterelles and we've washed them. We've cut them in halves or fourths, depending on how big they were. Now we're going to put them in a dehydrator. This is just a standard like Cuisinart dehydrator. So I'm looking at the book here and it says mushroom. This is a brand new one. I've never even used this thing. Mushroom sliced or whole, 6 to 14 hours. Doesn't really give you a temperature, and this whole thing is in Celsius. So we're going to guess on this whole deal. It looks like 50 degrees is 122. That's about what I'm looking for, is 120. So I'm going to go ahead and put that thing on 50 degrees-ish. That's about what I'm looking for. Now we're going to take this thing and just pull these shelves off. It's a really simple dehydrator. It works really, really well, I think. I've got one similar, but it's not as big as this, so I wanted something larger. There we go. Gonna make sure nothing's overlapping here. Give ourselves plenty of room for this fan to operate. Got some fairly good sized pieces and some small pieces. Obviously your small stuff's gonna get done faster than your big stuff. Okay, so let's turn this off. Open the lid here and see what we got. So there's our dehydrated chanterelle. Got several racks of them. We're going to take them and just put them in a container or basket for right now, because we're going to do something else with these in a few minutes. I wanted to show you this process, and then we'll go on to the next piece of the puzzle in our project here directly. Okay guys, this is where we're going to try to make some of the magic happen. We have some dried chanterelles here that we dried in our dehydrator. I have a bag of Celtic sea salt. We'll talk about the importance of this stuff in just a minute. But the next thing we want to do is take a heavy duty mortar and pestle, preferably a stone one. Start off by grinding up these chanterelles to as fine a powder as we can get. And this may take you a little bit of time. Don't hurry the process. You could use a food processor for this of some kind, and that would probably be faster, but I kind of like doing things by hand. Now, truly what I find with this mortar and pestle is the quickest way to do this, or the most efficient way, is really just to kind of go in circles on the outside of the bottom here, clockwise, counterclockwise, whatever you choose. But that acts kind of like a flour grinding stone, just going in circles, grinding against the stone and trapping pieces underneath as it goes. Again, don't get in a hurry with this process. I think putting your personal energy into this without getting too esoteric in nature is part of what makes it good. So let's kind of talk real quick about this chanterelle. It kind of smells to me fruity nutty, and I don't know how to explain that other than to say it smells a little bit like fruit and it smells a little bit like nut, like a very sweet nut would smell, kind of like cashews would smell, I guess, if you ground them up. I've heard it said that it smells like apricot. To me, it doesn't smell like that, but I'm not a big fruit eater either. So to me, it just smells like peanuts in a lot of ways. And it gives things a very good flavor. And we're going to talk about that more in just a minute. So there's where we're at. From this to this. Okay, for the next step here in what we're doing, I have Celtic sea salt. And we really only need about 1/10 of the amount of sea salt that we have the chanterelle material. And I'm just eyeballing that. I'm not getting particular with it. And I'm going to grind it up exactly the same way with my mortar and pestle to reduce it down to a finer powder instead of those chunks that Celtic sea salt comes in. Okay, now again, remember what we said here. We really only want about 1/10 the amount of salt that we have this. So I've ground up probably more than that in my mortar and pestle. So again, guesstimating, I'm just going to throw a couple good heavy pinches in there, maybe 3 for good measure. And then I'm going to use this basically as a mixing device to shake that up. And so now we have a mixture of the chanterelle and the Celtic sea salt. And we can just dip our finger into it to give it a taste. Okay, can use a little bit more salt. You know, everything's just kind of do it to your own taste. Now, for the secret ingredient. All right, so let's have a quick discussion here while I'm trying some of this wonderful steak. Two minutes less on the fire would have made that perfect. But when you're trying to film and make coffee and all that stuff at the same time, sometimes you get it a little bit wrong. Nonetheless, it's good. Nice fried mushroom there to go with it. Piece of cheese. More coffee. Killer. Okay, sorry guys. Back to the subject of the video here. One of the things that happens when we get dehydrated is we lose a lot of electrolytes and mineral balances and things in our body, along with potassium. And potassium is what kind of causes those muscle cramps. That's when you have a lack of potassium when you're exercising or when you're doing labor or after the fact when you're sleeping at night, you get a Charlie horse in your leg. All of that is signs of lack of potassium. And chanterelle mushroom is pretty high in potassium per weight. Now, again, you have to look at things realistically. The average human probably only consumes, I believe I read, 1,700 milligrams of potassium a day, and the recommended is about 3,700. So the average American is way below that intake of potassium to begin with, which makes us more prone to those type things. There's about 300 milligrams in 5 medium chanterelles. Now you saw that we ground up 10 or 15 of them probably into that powder that ended up filling this up to about right here. Now we mixed it with Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt has like 72 minerals and trace elements in it, to include a pretty good dose of potassium, but also lots of other minerals that you need. And the chanterelles have quite a few other vitamins in them, like vitamin B, vitamin D, iron, protein, which is not a vitamin obviously, but you need protein in your body. So you can mix those two things together into a seasoning, and you can put them on your food. But more importantly and multifunctionally, you basically have an electrolyte drink mix that you can throw into water, whether it be warm water, like a tea, or whether it just be you consuming some of this powder and washing it down, or whether it be mixing this with a canteen of water. Any way you consume it, you're going to be consuming lots of minerals, lots of trace elements, and quite a bit of potassium at one shot. That will help you rehydrate your body, along with the water, obviously, to equalize all of those things in electrolytes in your body and make you feel better quicker. So you have a multifunctional item here if you make this seasoning that I made today. And that was really the whole reason for making this video, was to show you guys that you could take a couple things like sea salt or Celtic sea salt, Himalayan sea salt. I think they're all pretty much the same as far as studies go. All of them make different claims. Some of them claim to be better than others, but Celtic sea salt's the one I choose to use. It's the gray salt from France. It's found in a clay-based soil, so it probably has trace elements from the clay in it as well, I would think, leached out. That's my choice. Your choice is personal. And then mix that with the ground chanterelle that's been dehydrated, and you have a really nice seasoning that tastes good on food because you have salt in there and you have that pleasant, nutty flavor of the chanterelle. So you can use it in that aspect on meat, on fish, things like that. And then you can also use it again as an emergency part of your kit for an electrolyte type mixture that you can use either as a powder or in a drink. Or again, you're consuming it with food if you're using it for seasoning. So you're getting some of that extra potassium and extra minerals and things that you might need if you're out on a longer term camp. So I hope you enjoyed this video with me today. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my lunch here underneath the overhang down at the Pathfinder School classroom area. And I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I will be back with another video as soon as I can. Smash that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Check out my stores at selfrelianceoutfitters.com, as well as the link below to my Amazon store. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks.